Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Jamil Alam Johnson, and I am the president of the Prince George's County Muslim Council. Ramadan Mubarak to all my brothers and sisters. May Allah accept our fast. May He accept our prayers. May He accept our good deeds. And may He bring you and your families healthy through this difficult time. I want to thank you for taking a look at this video. Prince George's County Muslim Council is a civic and political organization that encourages the Muslims to get involved in the civic and political affairs of Prince George's County. The purpose of this is to facilitate our way of life, but also to improve the quality of life for all human beings in our area, for all our neighbors. We know how important the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said it was our obligations to our neighbors. Tonight, we just want to take a few minutes to remind you about the importance of this year's election, which will take place on June 2nd. Because of the COVID-19 crisis, this will be a completely mail-in vote. So we're going to make sure that you know how to vote. If you want to know what PGCMC's voter recommendations are, you can go to our website at www.pgcmc.org, which is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And that will give you our recommendations. But today, we just want to make sure that you understand the importance of Muslims as being involved and exactly how to go about making sure that your vote counts. Your voice is your vote. So at this time, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Imam Talib Abdul Samad, who is the director over at Urhasa in Capitol Heights. And he's going to talk to us about the importance of voting. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Talib.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Brother Jamil. Brothers and sisters, let me begin by reading from Surah Ali Imran, just one verse, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in verse number 110, Allah says, Kuntum khayru ukmatin ukrijat linnas wa tamaruna bil maruthi wa tanharuna anil munkari wa tukmina billah. This translates that surely you are the best community raised up for mankind because you invite to what is good and you forbid what is wrong and you believe in God. Brothers and sisters, peace be upon you. Our prophet, peace be upon him, in a hadith saying was that if someone sees an evil act, he should stop it with his hands. And if he cannot stop it with his hands, he should stop it with his expression of disapproval. And if he cannot do that, then he should do it at least within his heart. Our current situation as Muslims is we only left with a few choices. We either can continue to be silent, we can continue to complain, or we can cast our ballot. And that's what we want to talk about today, casting a ballot. Unless you want to see things remain in the way that they are, especially in matters that relate to our Muslim community, voting is not an option for us. It is imperative. If I were to ask you, are you planning to leave the United States and live in another country? I'm sure the majority of you right now would probably say no. Are you satisfied with the future facing your children? Most of you would say no. Brothers and sisters, as being an American, whether it's by birth or naturalization, we have constitutional rights and we have protection under the Constitution. Why is your vote important? Let me tell you why. JFK defeated Richard Nixon by only 2 votes. In 1848, Texas became a state by only 2 votes. In 1933, prohibition was repealed. This country allows for participatory government, and some would like to change that. When we vote, even if our candidate does not win, we send a message to the powers that be that not all people are in agreement with the status quo. When they see us come to the polls, they know that they need to begin to listen to our grievances. If you want others who don't have your interests at heart to continue to make decisions that affect your life and its quality, then don't vote. But understand this, low voter turnout favors the opponents, and no vote is a vote for the opponent. Brothers and sisters, let me say this to you. Thousands of your forefathers have died to establish the right for you to vote. We owe it to them. And in closing, I want to just share, for those who need a fatwa, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen said, rahimahullah, issued a fatwa for the Muslims in America to participate in the elections and vote for the candidate who supports the interests of Muslims. And in a book called Tamarat al-Tadwin, Ahmed bin Abdul Rahman al-Qadri said, Sheikh, whether the Muslims in America should participate in elections in the US and vote for a candidate who supports the interests of Muslims, he replied, affirmative without hesitation. When the benefits of participating in elections outweigh the evils of it, participation preponderates. Thank you very much. Back to you, Jamil.
Jazakallah khairan, Brother Talib, Brother Imam. We appreciate those forceful words. And I also want to mention to you, you mentioned the issue of 2 votes. We do have a Muslim elected official here in Prince George's County. He's a member of the council in College Park. His name is Fazlul Kabir. We worked with him and supported him on his elections over the years. His first election that he won by exactly 2 votes. So make no mistake, every vote counts. Of course, now he wins by a landslide. But that's because he has served the community well. Once they let him in the first time, they saw how well he's done. So he's really has not really had any competition since then. But now we want to talk about, now that you understand from an Islamic point of view, why you should participate not only in voting, but in civic affairs in general, because of the issue of making things better. We also want you to understand exactly how you vote. And for that, I'm going to introduce an election judge who is a member of the planning committee of Prince George's County Muslim Council. His name is Habib Jah. And as a matter of fact, he recently, on behalf of PGCMC, led the effort to get the public schools closed for the Eid holiday. So thanks to his work and thanks to the work of Prince George's County Muslim Council, Eid al-Fitr next year, next May, the schools will be closed. It's a public holiday for the schools. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Brother Habib Jah on how the election is going to run. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Habib.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jamil. Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan Mubarak to all of my Muslim brothers in Maryland at Prince George's County. I am basically trying to give a synopsis as to how the voting procedure works in Maryland/PG County. To begin with, you will need to understand the qualification process for voters registration. In PG County, in order for you to vote, the first thing to do is to apply for voters registration. The applicant or registrant must register as a voter in the state of Maryland in order for he or she to be able to vote. You're required to sign a statement of affidavit of statement, which it's required actually in PG County or in Maryland. The title is under the election code or law article called Title 16. Secondly, in order for you to vote, you are required to be a United States citizen. If you're not a citizen, you will not be able to vote in Maryland or in America, period. You're required as a voter to be a resident in Maryland. If you're living in PG County, where I live, primarily you're required to have a resident address. The other category for voters who are allowed to register to vote, if you're 16-year-old, you can register to vote. However, you're not allowed, register, but you're not allowed to vote until you're 18 years old. The other exclusion under the principle behind the qualification for voting registration. The conditions are, if you've been found guilty for either conspiring or buying or selling a vote, you will not be allowed to vote. It is a law. Secondly, if you are under guardianship for mental disability and found by a court to be unable to communicate your desire to vote, that law was passed back in March 10th, 2016. In other words, it's really giving the right for people who can vote. But as a condition, since March 2016, March 10, 2016, if you have been convicted of a felony and you have served your terms, you'll be allowed to vote. However, it takes about 21 days for you to do the processing required. When you're cleared, you will be allowed to vote. On the other hand, if you're a felon and you're currently serving, you're not allowed to vote. So there are two criteria there. The other one is if you're 16, once again, you can register, but you're not allowed to vote until you turn 18. You must be clear within 21 days for a voter with a felon record to vote. There are times people ask questions, where can I find the voter's registration? First of all, it's available online. If you have a computer in your home, you can basically access the information through a PDF file. Fill out the application and answer all the appropriate questions and mail it. Secondly, you can visit a motor vehicle administration. Since I live in PG County, we are targeting mostly people in PG County to vote or elsewhere. You may visit the motor vehicle in Largo and fill out the application, but make sure you have your appropriate ID required. The other area is in Beltsville motor vehicle. You're also entitled to print the information and mail it if you choose to. In addition to that, if none of these work or you do have a question, feel free to call the Board of Election, the local Board of Election, based on the county where you live, and ask a question. You're welcome to go there at any time, but make sure you have an ID and you can fill out the information for you to vote. In addition to that, the Board of Election has made it very clear for everybody to vote. There are times they do make arrangement with the Board of Education, whereby they will facilitate voting registration designated in a school, but it is based on a case-by-case basis. Another important question that I think that always comes up when it comes to the procedure of voting, the verification of registration. There are a few things I would like you to know about the steps. If your application is complete, consider yourself you are a registered voter. If you're not sure, after you've completed your application, there are other options you can do to ascertain the information. You can basically make a phone call to the local Board of Election to find out, or you can basically use the website to find out and log in the appropriate information required. If you have already registered, your registration is permanent. The only exception is if you change your address or move, then you will need to revalidate the information. Now, how do I update my information? It is usually a big question that most voters do not have better clarification. Well, I want to make it very simple for you, especially the Muslim Ummah in Maryland, PG County. You can use the Maryland Online Voters Registration, and we call it OLVR, which stands for Maryland's Online Voters Registration, to make an update or notify your local Board of Election office to make the appropriate changes. You may also send an email or probably make changes to your voter's registration card. Last but not the least, you may have an option to either visit the website. There are other categories of procedure that I would like to explain in addition to what I've already mentioned. In terms of the political parties affiliation, in Maryland, PG County, where I live, there are few parties that are recognized in Maryland. The Democratic Party is recognized, the Republican Party, and sometimes Independent Party, or they call them the Rose Party, and then the Working Class Party. how do I make change in terms of my documentation? Well, you can make the changes based on the steps I've already mentioned. If you follow those steps, you will not go wrong. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan, Brother Habib. Brother Habib, I do want to go back to you for a couple of minutes because I want you to talk to the people just for a moment about how they're going to vote in this election, because this isn't like the usual election. This one is mail-in, so people have to get their ballots. They got to get them to the post office. They can drop off. Can you give us a few minutes on exactly how this election is going to run?
This election primarily is very unusual because of the health emergency reason. A proclamation was signed by the governor, which really empowered the Maryland Election Board to make changes. Initially, the date was on April the 28th, 2020. It was then immediately changed to June. The options that are available, first, after you've already registered, the Board of Election will send you your ballot. If you did not receive your ballot, make sure you make a phone call. They have a call center. They will send you one. If that doesn't work because of the line factor on the phone, then you have an alternative plan. You can either go there. I'm sorry, right now you're unavailable to go there, but you can go ahead during the election time on June 2nd and actually do the voting for yourself. There are 4 precinct areas that has been allocated in Maryland. For an example, I will go ahead and mention those. You have where you can go to drop-off areas, College Park Community Center. And the address for that will be 5051 Pierce Avenue in College Park. The second place would be Bowie Gymnasium. And the address is 41 Northview Drive. Third will be Kentland Community Center. And I'll be there. If I see any of you, I'll be able to assist. Last, the address for it is 2413 Pine Brook Drive. And lastly, it's in the Southern Region, which is in a Southern Region Technology and Recreation Center in Fort Washington. The address is 7007 Bock Road, B-O-C-K Road. So these are the plans that we have available for you if you are going to be going out there to vote.
Thank you again, Brother Habib. That's very important information. We have to understand this clearly to make sure, because some of you, even if you're used to voting, you don't typically do it this way unless you've voted by absentee ballot in the past. Some of you may be voting for the first time and are trying to make sure that you do it in the right way. And one of the key things is your ballot, once you receive it, or if you have to print it out, your ballot must be mailed no later than June 2nd. I would recommend that you not wait till June 2nd. Once you receive it, you can fill it out and drop it in the mail, but it must be mailed by June 2nd so they can then follow up and count the election. And this is a very important election. Even though it's not the biggest election that we have in Prince George's County when it comes to having the county council and the state legislature and the governor and the county executive, there are people on the ballot who you're actually going to deal with more, because there are a few members of the Board of Education on the ballot who we worked with to get the schools closed for Eid. We do have one of our own brothers, Muhammad Ali, who's running for school board in District 4, for those of you who live there. And you also have a list of circuit court judges who are running. And in some cases, people are going to be before them. You may not want to be, or you may not want your family members to be in front of them, but you may be, and hopefully you'll get a good judge when you do. So very important. Utilize this information, pass it on to friends and family. If you have any questions about it, you can send an email to info at pgcmc.org. And you can also look up our recommendations on our website. Again, which, like I said, is scrolling below, www.pgcmc.org. And we ask you to help us build on the work that we're doing, continue the work that we're doing, to civically empower the Muslim community in Prince George's County. Please support us, become a member, donate. Alhamdulillah, this is the evening. This is actually being taped on the evening of the 29th night, the last possible night of Laylatul Qadr. But whether it's Laylatul Qadr or not, it's still the month of Ramadan. Getting opportunities next few days to get these last blessings and donate to the Prince George's County Muslim Council. So I want to thank Brother Habib. I want to thank Imam Talib. And I also want to thank our technical engineer, Brother Gibran Ali, for putting this together for us. And let's work together, and inshallah, let's call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make things better for us and make us better Muslims after this Ramadan than we were before the Ramadan began. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayhi. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.